Hey,
Yay!
how are
What's
you?
up? I'm great. How are you?
Good. Oh my God, this is like our first time talking.
I know, right?
Like I've been following you on social media for I don't even know how long, and I'm like, why didn't I think to like call and be like, yo, are you straight?
It's like definitely been like a few like years, so this is cool. Like we in here. Yeah.
I I was telling my boyfriend, he was like, maybe you should like interview the artist in person once COVID like dies down. I was like, that would be dope. He's like, just invite them to the apartment and it's lit. And I'm just like, well, I can't just be inviting nobody to our apartment. Like,
Oh, true, true.
but I was like, I will feel comfortable, like as long as they're cool, like. But how are you
Oh yeah, I'm good. Just chilling.
doing?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to tell everyone your name, where you're from, and what kind of art you make?
Oh yeah, sure. Like, all right. So hello everyone in internet land. My name is ALYX Ryon,
Mhm,
ALYX Ryon. I'm
mhm.
from PG County, Maryland. I say PG County because it's from a few different places, but like yeah, generally PG County. And I'll be making music and art and stuff.
Eh, I have a question. I never asked you. Where did you come up with the spelling of your name?
All right, so I thought about that too. Like the actual spelling of my name comes from there's this video game character because I'm like a huge like nerd, and this video game character in the Streets of Rage 2 on Sega named Axel.
Mhm.
And when I was a kid, I thought it said Alex, so I would just like I was always was obsessed with that name because that was my favorite character, and I used to just use that as a nickname or whatever like that. And
Mhm.
then like eventually it just kind of stuck. I was trying to be cool and edgy in high school, so I just changed the E to a Y.
That's
And
dope.
yeah. And then the other part, Ryon was the other name that I liked because I always liked the name Ryan, but like I just wanted to be different. Changed it to a O. But yeah, in real life, I have my dad's name. I'm a junior, so
Hey, hey, you're
I
lit.
have to find a way to be individual to
It-
some extent.
Kidding. Um, so like myself, you're juggling a full-time job and constantly putting out content. What has that balance or harmony been like for you?
Well, it's been interesting,
Mhm.
and it's been really, really interesting because a lot of due to current events going on in the world, but also just within like personal stuff too, where it's just like it's a lot to balance trying to maintain how you want to represent yourself in the world, like as an artist, but then
Right.
also have to like have that coincide with like how you present when you're like at a job, because when you're at a job a lot of time they expect you to have like such customer service. Well, I know my job in particular, they're just always really big on customer service, so it's just like sometimes you ain't in the mood to be in just like always serving the customer or whatever like that, like to a certain degree when you're feeling your own type of way. So it's just like you know like I use music as an outlet,
Mhm.
a lot of the time, but sometimes it's really just this because it's something that I really don't have to like do to necessarily cater to other people. It's something where I can just like, just have fun with me and just do my thing type thing.
Art is like very freeing. I told my interviewer or my guest yesterday, Adrian,
Yeah,
that you can do whatever you want. You can like bend the rules and make up rules because you don't have to follow a strict formula. Like it's per person. It's very like avant-garde or customary. It's like, okay, do I want a cheeseburger with lettuce, no pickles? Oh no, for that
exactly.
I want bacon. Like I'm sure
Exactly.
about food, but
No, I get it though. Like for real. Like I like that aspect about it. Like it's all very personal, and that's good.
I make art from like a selfish standpoint. I don't know if you are. I'm like, I'm really making it for me. And then like if I feel nice enough to share, I'm like, all right, here's this nugget, but like I want it back when you're done. Like
Exactly. But because I know, just like on a more like personal level, we had conversations where it's like when we talk about our art, we refer to them as like our children, and like we're
yeah.
putting them out into the world, kind of. And that's really what it feels like a lot of the time, where it's just like you live with your art and you have a certain relationship with it, but then it's something completely different once you let like it be up to the interpretation of others, and it's out in the world and it's picking up other things and other interpretations, and it's just like, you know, it's just beautiful, but you know, like, it starts within.
Like I always say, like even though I don't have like kids now, I'm
Yeah.
like I feel like the art or like the idea is just like baking in like my art belly, and I'm just like nursing it and like feeding it, and
Mm-hmm.
I a book with like a baby blanket. Like it's so spiritual and emotional when you're creating, and like
Yeah.
I didn't really understand that like until I got along further. But I feel so like Erica Badu said, I'm sensitive about my shit, but it's also like more judgmental. So you're like, oh, what if like I get anxiety if I post a piece or something, because I'm like, oh my God, I'm like repeatedly checking my phone to see if anybody read it, if anyone commented, if anyone liked it, if they share, like, and then you feel like you're a bad parent, like if
Yeah.
attention to, you're like, oh, I just put this out, I delivered it. And I feel like it's so weird. Like I'll have images in my head of like doctors with like scalpels and stuff like pushed out. Like it's so weird. And I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
I have kids, so I don't even know what this feels like. But
Yeah. I mean,
uh,
I get what you mean though, because in that same like aspect, I got so much stuff I've never put out.
me
Like
too.
with all the hundreds of musical projects and things that I have floating around the internet, my laptops is like, I went through a few laptops worth of content. So it's just like, it's just
Yeah.
cultivating, and just like, that's another thing about being a parent. You never know when to just let go and just be like,
Mhm.
sometimes you could be a little overprotective of our art.
Yeah. I put it. My boyfriend's like, why won't you put it out? This is fire. And I'm like, because I like it. I don't give if anyone else likes it. I'm like, it's more, I just wrote this to like heal. Because I feel like at the same time, art can like make you undo yourself. Like,
Mm-hmm.
most harming, I don't want to say harming, but you're like putting on the band-aid and then like bleeding at the same time. It's really,
Exactly.
you're like, oh, okay. Someone's asking to drop something. I don't know if they're talking to you or me, but I ain't dropping nothing because
Drop some.
it was,
They want me to drop a bar. You want me
yeah.
to drop a bar? I ain't got no bars right this second. But
I hate when people put out, I'm like, you're not getting nothing. Like, I'm a bum in real life.
yeah, like literally.
I see the comments. Keep them coming. We appreciate you guys for supporting Alex.
Yeah, shout out to y'all. Everybody in the comments right now that I'm seeing are like creators, and they're dope. So yeah,
Yeah,
shout out to all of y'all.
like I like people sometimes.
Yeah.
Do you find that your art and work life bleed together? And if so, how do you separate the two?
um. That's kind of a complicated question, because it's like they don't, like, I guess, like literally bleed together. Like, you know, I don't necessarily do anything like music based while I'm at work, or like I don't necessarily like think about work too much when I'm in the house. I try not to. But
Right.
of course, like the themes of certain like feelings will still like resonate sometimes and spill over. Like if I feel a certain type of way about the way people are treating other people, that might make its way into a theme of like a project that I do.
Mm-hmm.
Or especially more so when I was like in a band, like with my band Tykes, when I was there, it's like we had a whole kind of sort of project that was talking about like being working class. Like, so there's a lot of stuff to deal with that, like within there too. So that comes from the people and interacting with them, like in that sense. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always used to say like having a 9 to 5 and then like being creative, it made me feel like they were bleeding together like watercolors, because sometimes I would be so focused and driven to complete like be excellent and high performing at work, and then I know
mm-hmm.
I'm not creating as much, and then if I'm creating, I'm not paying attention as much at work, and I'm like,
Oh yeah.
paid for, like I can't be doing this. But sometimes there's like a peak or like a decrease
Mm.
depending on what's going around and what I'm taking in. So I don't
That
know.
used to be me at school. Like, it's not necessarily me at work, because like at work I'm just really robotic and I'm just like on autopilot. But
Me,
me at school, oh my gosh, I couldn't concentrate on nothing because I was writing songs and drawing out album covers and stuff like that. Oh my gosh.
yeah, you're like me, because I would legit go into like math class because I hate math. And
Yeah.
I would like literally like write my name on the paper, do like one problem, and then the rest of the test, I'm like writing stories on the back of the paper. My teacher was like, dude, you have straight A's in your other class and you're like legitimately failing my class. I was like, because I hate math, because why does there need to be letters? And I just
Mm-hmm.
about making stuff because school is really strict. Not that I'm against school, but I find like a very strict or routine thing does not work for creative people.
Yeah.
We're very like unstructured and I'm disorganized. I don't know about other creatives because I have like journals and loose leaf paper flying everywhere. Like
Yeah.
I'm like, nope, I don't like it clean. Like,
because it's like I'm organized, but in a really interesting way. Because
yeah,
it's like I'm the type of person where it's like somebody else might come into my room and see like guitars and things spread out, but it's like I know where everything is. Like I know where all my records are. They might not be alphabetized, but it's like I understand like the flow of how these things are, and that's kind of how I am like generally too. Where it's just like it's an organized confusion like sort of thing.
I'm like, wouldn't if I could instruct them like over the phone how to find it, they wouldn't be able to find it, but I can uh go and find it even if it's like in a mess. So I'm like,
Yeah,
it works for me.
exactly. Like we know where they are.
Right? Can you walk some of the viewers through your creative process? Like, how do you start a project? How do you start a song? How do you start a bar?
Yeah. True. It all depends on what I'm working on, and particularly, I would say if I'm doing more so like hip hop music, a lot of times I'm inspired by instrumentals and like listening to other like rappers and things like that. Like I'll just get excited and be like, man, I can write. Like, let me write something. But if it's something like, like what can I say, like a rock song or something like that, it's the same type of process where I guess I am still getting inspired by what's going on around me, or if I hear something that makes me want to try something out for myself, then I'll just go ahead and try something out for myself. But as far as like, because I've been doing this instrumental project series called like the Aesthetic series, where I just like name like short instrumental projects after like anime characters and things that I like. When it comes to stuff like that, I kind of sort of have something more in mind. Like I'll consciously be like, I wonder what it will sound like if I just remixed a bunch of Carl Thomas songs. And I'll literally go into it like with that mindset and just focus in and see what happens. And yeah, that's usually how it goes.
Oh wow, someone is really big up in you. They really love you. They said you dropped 5 projects in a month. That means like you were on speed while you were creating. Like,
Not only was it 5 projects in a month. Well, we have to be more specific about it. The projects themselves didn't pass 10 minutes. Like each one was only about 10 minutes, but it was kind of sort of like, that's why I call them like aesthetics, because where it's just like you kind of sort of hint at the idea of something. Like instead of making like a full project, because like anxiety will sometimes get me to like work on a full project for entirely too long, I just wanted to just capture a quick idea of something and then put it out. So it's like I make a couple beats and like this feels like this idea, and then like that's it. And then just kind of
that's how I feel about poetry. It's like a snapshot. Like you're just taking a picture of like a quick feeling or a quick experience. That's why I like it better because it's quick. But
yeah.
yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah, and I like poetry for that reason too, because I used to write. That's why I used to write haikus. That's my favorite form of poetry. Like just
they're short and sweet.
yeah,
Good point. Yeah.
yeah.
Do you have a peak hour while creating? I know some creatives prefer mornings over nights, or some prefer late nights into the morning. Where do you find like you create like a higher volume of content?
Uh, I generally want to say at night or early in the morning. Like throughout the day, I have been able to make a high volume of content throughout the day, but I'd have to really be like inspired to do it. But a lot of time I feel more calm, like just late at night. Like I'll wake up in the middle of the night at like 3 in the morning to make start making beats a lot of the time, because it's just like there's nothing going on at that time. So it's like, yeah, but that's also terrible for being a working person, because you don't need to be making beats at 3 in the morning when you gotta work in the morning.
Right. Yeah. I think mine is like you said, like sometimes I would like pull an all-nighter like on a Saturday or like start writing at like midnight up for a few hours and I'm just vibing because the house is quiet and like
Mm-hmm.
annoy me.
Exactly.
I used to be a night owl, but now I'm like a little old lady. I'm like, it's 10 o'clock? Like I should have had like a hot bath and some applesauce now. Like
Same, same. And because it's like we ain't necessarily old or nothing, but it's just like you get to the point where you want to just
chill.
enjoy not doing nothing. Like we've been working, we've been
Adults are
doing
always
everything.
around.
Exactly. We adulting. It's all good.
I always say I'm a kid trapped in an adult's body. I was like, I'm childish AF. Like, I'm not an adult. People be like, you're so responsible. I'm like, you should not trust me with your kids. Like,
But it's something that I learned from a lot of people, and I'll say more specifically one of my favorite artists, JPEG Mafia. I'll be watching his interviews and stuff, and he was talking about it. Like, as an adult, you start to realize how much adults don't really know what we're doing.
yeah,
And like the idea of adult itself is kind of like fabricated. Like we're all kind of here now. So it's like, just think like when we were young and like we had teachers and like we might have looked at them like they were supposed to be like the structure or the guidance. Now we're like the teacher's ages and knowing that we still don't know everything. It's like they didn't know everything either. So it's like, what is an adult? Like we have to reconsider the whole thing now.
exactly. It's like my whole life has been an entire lie, but okay.
Exactly. But we're part of the club now. That's the cool thing.
As a black male on the punk or rock scene, what has your experience been like in that particular genre of music?
I see. Well, I like that you say rock scene generally too, because like I feel like punk is very specific, and
Yeah.
I wish there was more of a punk scene that I knew about, like that wasn't like of the '80s or anything. But
Mm-hmm.
like I love this genre of music so much, and being a black person that has grown up just skateboarding and loving rock music that kind of sort of like went hand in hand with that. It was weird at one point when people were like considering to be like, oh, you listen to that white boy music, or
Yeah.
like, oh, like just all kinds of stuff like that I've always heard. Or like people just be like, oh, you listen to that rock and roll, and it's like, it, it's almost kind of like the connotation like we're not supposed to, or it's like, come on now, like history, like Little Richard, Chuck Berry, like it
Yep.
goes deep. Like black people in rock music should be like this. It's
Mhm.
always been like my passion to one day want to have the first like black rock show on BET, because I feel like we're so underrepresented in places like that, where it's like I don't know too many black people that just don't listen to rock at all. It might not be their favorite thing, but like, so it's like, yeah, it's just being a person within that scene, like, and actually being in a band and going out there. I've been in places that like really people weren't even expecting to see me there. Like
Mhm.
it'll be like some club or bar deep into the throes of Virginia or North Carolina or somewhere else, and it's just like the demographic is very just not black. And then like I'd be there playing guitar and doing my thing, and like the first comparison would be like, oh yeah, that's little Jimi Hendrix or whatever. It's like, generally speaking, that should be a compliment, but I also look at it like, because I've also been asked questions like, well, who listened to that type of music around you? Like, where did you get into like Led Zeppelin and Black Sabbath and stuff? Like, where did you find it? And it's just like, like I feel like those types of questions wouldn't be asked in that type of way if I weren't black. Because it's kind of like they're asking it in a way where it's just like I'm not supposed to know about these things. Where I find out about it just like how anybody would
Mhm.
find out about it. I don't think it's any different. So yeah, it's like it's really shown me how black people are perceived within that world, and it's almost just baffling to know that a lot of the things black people started, they're still is shock and like amazement when we actively become a part of it.
Mm, damn, that was a deep answer. While you were talking, I was just thinking like, there have been times I've been like invited to shows to like perform and stuff, or like
Mm-hmm.
in some type of like vendor thing, like, oh, you can rent a table with your projects or whatever, and I'm like the only black author there, and I'm like,
Yeah.
And then like I remember one I remember one time I went to this school, they were hosting like a craft like fair thing in
Mm-hmm.
school, and I had like paid for a table. Me and my best friend had like stayed up all night like making like bookmark. We were like up till like probably 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. We had to get up at 6, go set everything up. Like it was crazy. And they were being racist up in there. They were like, there should be no black vendors allowed. Like it was disgusting.
Wow.
They were looking at me like I wasn't supposed to be there. And I would notice with this particular group of writers, they were so sweet to me though, but I was typically one of very few black artists there, and it was almost like you said, like you shouldn't be here, or like what are you doing here? And then when I go up, I body it, and they're like, oh, I don't want to go after you. I'm like, that's exactly the point, because now I have to show you, like now I have to come
Yeah.
through my art and my expression. But like I would always feel like I wasn't supposed to be there. And I also feel like that like in corporate spaces too, because I'm like, I don't see anybody that looks like me. I don't see anybody like vice president or see, like I don't. And I'm like, why does this happen every time? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and then you feel, I don't want to say paranoid, but you feel awkward because you're like, I don't want to notice this every time, but it's so painfully noticeable.
Exactly. And that's hard for like us. And that's something that I'm really, really glad that you brought up, and that I hope that everybody who's watching and viewing really gets to see and understand that like it's really, really difficult to be like a black person in those spaces, even because of subtle stuff like that. People don't realize when we're really like shown as like being like outcasts within the
Yeah.
things that we like and love, and we just want to just be just there like how everybody else is there. It's like we don't necessarily mean to stand out so much, but it's almost like the expectation levels and like, or lack thereof,
Yeah.
expectation levels are just always just so like present that it's like there's just like a pressure there, and it shouldn't have to be like that. Like
I don't know if you've seen that movie Queen and Slim.
oh
Um,
yeah, I have, yeah.
did you remember the part where she was talking to him about being a lawyer, and she was like, I'm an excellent lawyer. He was like, why can't black people just be? Why do we have to be excellent? I was like, oh snap. I was like, that's me every day. Like some of the one-liners in that movie was like crazy. Like I
I
was
agree.
crazy about the ending, but it has some good messaging in it.
It definitely wasn't crazy about the ending. Like, I ain't gonna spoil it for nobody, but
Me
like,
either. I'm not gonna be
but
giving.
yeah, I agree though. Like there shouldn't always be like a expectation for us to be twice as good or twice as like whatever it is. But in a way, I'm glad that we have been able to rise to the occasion, because a lot of good things have come from that too. Like, you know, black people have really shown what we can do, and that's something to be proud of.
Exactly. Anytime I'm feeling weak or low, about my ancestors, and I'm like, they about to give me the strength to rise up. And I can like feel them like from the roots like pushing me up and like just keep going. And like they tell me like, we're here for you. Like I think I wrote a status one time. It was like, the thing with the like dialing the ancestors is like, you can call them as many times as you want, you can call on them as many times as you want. Like they don't
Mm-hmm.
disappear. Like they're always there, and I feel like their strength and like their power like running through my veins. And I'm like, stop thinking like that. Stop thinking so lowly of yourself. But they will have you think lowly of yourself so that you don't rise any higher than what they are. So
Yeah, and just as they rise to the occasion and made it so that we could be here, we're gonna have to continue to just fly that flag. And that's the beautiful part about the whole thing, where it's just like we can't be black and be discouraged by what's going on, because we already done made it through way worse. Like, and like for whatever we have going on now, it's like we can't downplay how serious it is, but like our people have shown that we have been able to do it, and I'm still confident that all that blood is still running through us today. So
that's
yeah.
what message do you hope to instill in your listener?
uh all of that. It's like I would hope that I'm saying as much as I'm saying now musically, but I know realistically I'm not at that point yet. But that's my goal. Like my goal is to be as expressive with my music as I am in person about the things that I care about. So like I said, only time will tell if I'll be able to really express every side of all of what I like and what I be feeling and all of that. But that's the goal, like just for people to really get to know me and for me to learn more about people and the world around me while I'm doing it. So yeah.
Someone's proud of you, and I'm gonna say on camera, I'm proud of you too, because you've been pushing like since I've known you, and probably before we met. I don't even know how we met. It was on Facebook, but I'm like, I don't remember.
I know, right? Like,
Adding.
yeah, it was one of those things. Like, oh yeah, like fellow creative, yeah, like like, we in here.
Like are like magnets for one another. Like we just attract, and then like art circles for Black artists are like really small, so everyone knows like everyone.
Exactly. No, which we should. That's good. We need to come together, just have a big union one day, like all Black creatives. Like we need to be in one room.
I know. I was thinking about that. I was like, how can I get some of the people that I interviewed like in the same room, or like I was like, I would love for them to meet each other, like take pictures, like shoot the shit. Like I was like, how can I make this? I was like, my little apartment ain't gonna be. We need to like go out to eat or something, or like be in fucking be in nature.
Exactly.
I on a hiking trip and then like go out to eat or something. I was like, I'm trying to think of how I can link everybody, because I was like,
we need to have a cookout.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah. We need to have a grill and paint. That's what we need to do. But yeah, especially because too, you know, DC, Maryland, Virginia, like I also feel like it's like our time to really make ourselves known within the rest of the world too. Like I always want to be an advocate for that. Like I believe we do something very special.
We do.
Yeah. So I really want us in this particular area to come together too.
Okay. How do you drop your albums?
I used to think really hard about it, and now I just try to put them out as soon as possible so that I don't overthink it. But usually I put out something like it might not be a full album, but I try to put out something every September 22nd, because that day just has like a lot of significance to me, like the first day of fall. But like other than that, like I really just, as soon as I can get it, just like a clear idea of what's going on, it's like I just wanted to just be out, like just get out of here before I think too hard, and then I end up not putting it out.
I'd be like this with my art. I'd be like,
exactly.
Oh, they're like trying to rip it out, and some of my like fans or like readers, they'll like message me. They'd be like, you don't put the mother.
It gotta be like that. It really do.
It could be threats. They'd be like, hey, here's my address. You gonna send it? When's the book coming out? I have some people in Africa that follow me. They'd be like, listen, if you don't send it to the motherland, what's wrong with y'all? Glam Goblin, add me at Yomi the Otherworldly. You're lit. They are saying they want to come to the cookout. They want to make the cookout happen. So you're lit.
Glam Goblin, one of the best artistic creators of all time. Like I advise everybody to like look her up and check out what she's doing.
Yeah. I think I thought I added her earlier because she mentioned the thing in her story, like the little screenshot I think we took. What platform attracts the most foot or listening traffic?
I've been trying to figure that out myself. Like I want to say it's somewhere between, for me personally, I've been seeing a lot of attention and through SoundCloud and YouTube, but because it's like everybody else I know, I see like they're doing really well with like the checking like Spotify and things like that, and Instagram I think used to be really, really good, but it's getting to the point where the algorithms are really strange.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, because like I do music reviews for vinyl records, and well, not really reviews, I just be rambling about the records I'd be buying. But I used to have like a thing where it'd be like 50, 70 people then liked it or seen it or something, and now it would be like 10. So I'm like, where everybody go? And that's kind of how I'm feeling with musical platforms these days, where it's like I don't really know where people are anymore. So
me either. I was telling Adrian yesterday that like I don't really know like how to plug stuff really well. Like this is the first time I'm really like, because I'm like, it's not for me. I want other people to come to you guys. Like you're the artist, you're the one that should be under the spotlight. But I'm like, I never have promos so much in my life, and I was like thinking of ways to like get better at it. And I'm actually learning stuff from you guys because y'all are like better at promoting than me. And I'm like, all right, I can take away this. I'm gonna make some notes and figure out what kind of schedule I am gonna be on promoting this and helping like attract people to your page and to your art. I was like, I suck at this. I don't know what I'm doing. I just thought I was gonna be talking, but I'm like, no, like I should care more about it because it's also someone else's name and legacy on the line. So I was
Yeah.
like, I was thinking about that earlier, like, oh, I want my kids to know, like during the pandemic, your mom was like working. She was trying to find ways to help people that look like you and me. So
Mm-hmm.
it was I was like, wow. I was like, I should probably be, more professional than I'm already trying to be. But the next question is, does your mental health impact your ability to create, and how often does it come into play?
Yes, it does. Around 2010 or so, I think that's when I was like formally diagnosed with having like anxiety disorder and stuff like that. But I've like worked so hard to the point where I'm at now, where it's like I still notice certain stuff, but I'm like doing a lot better from it.
Mm-hmm.
But it it affects me because when I am feeling like really like panicky about stuff, like instead of like having like full blown panic attacks or whatever like that, I have been able to like make music as a thing to like be grounding. Like it really helps to like ground what's going on, and like I can just focus and just like feel like connected and like snap out of it. But also just like not even having to deal with like anything like that, but like I feel like just having certain types of feelings, like like if you're in a mental space where you're sad, sometimes I could be lit because you feel something enough to want to continue to really make what you're trying to make because you believe in it, and like your feelings can amplify it. But then you could be so sad to the point where you don't want to make nothing, and like you just don't do nothing and you don't make nothing. So it's really interesting how that plays with me personally too, where it's just like, I'm just like, I feel like most people are like that, like just where it's like you can get to a point where you can let your feelings and your mindset and like what's going on in your head like really like enhance what you're doing, or it can get to the point where it could get overwhelming too, and you just like you have to just step back from everything and like recollect yourself, and you know like
Exactly.
that happens to me too, basically. Like I feel like it happens to everybody, but it definitely happens with me too.
Yeah, like there would be times where I'd be like really depressed or like upset about something. There have been times like I think one time I was so mad I wrote a whole project about a boy, like a guy I was seeing. And
Mm-hmm.
so heated I completed it in like a week, and I like sent it to my publisher. I was like, yeah, can you print this? I told the guy about it. I was like, hey, I wrote a whole book about you. He's like, what? I was like, you want to buy a copy? He's like, yeah. I was like, this is so bad. And then other times I've been so heavy I can't like move. I'm like, all right, let me just like do some self-care. I call it like recharging your artistic battery because sometimes you get so drained because you're constantly pushing stuff out, or even just like thinking about content and rewriting it, like your ideas, so that you can come back to reference it. Because I have like hundreds of notes on my phone. There's like little post-it notes all over, like and then other times I feel happy, but then I'm backtracking to like a sad or painful moment, and people don't like realize like artists have to like pull from deep, deep, deep inside of them to get the stuff on the paper. They think it's really easy. Sometimes I'm bawling, my face is like hot with tears, or I'm like jamming to like The Weekend or Drake. I'm like, you got me in my feelings, sis. Like, no, it just like now I've become more like stable in my mood. But I still do battle with depression and anxiety like you were talking about. So like it just really depends and like what other things I have going on in my life. Cause if I just got in a fight with my boyfriend, or something happened at work, or school, or just life. It's very fascinating. And sometimes I feel so frozen that I can't create. I like will keep forcing myself, and I'm like, bro, you need to just stop. Like,
Oh yeah.
go do something else and come
Yeah,
back
I
to.
do that too because I feel like sometimes you almost feel like it's what you're supposed to be doing, like where you want to really get it out and get something made, but it's like it doesn't always happen. Like the magic isn't always there.
Yeah, I don't like when some people are like, "Oh, you should be creating every day." I'm like, "No, you shouldn't, because you're gonna burn yourself out." I,
Yeah,
I'll go like 3 to 6 weeks without making anything. This whole pandemic, I haven't written anything, and everyone's like, "You should use this time now," and I'm like, "Actually, I'm gonna use this time to do self care, because if my mind is not right, nothing else around me is gonna be right."
exactly.
uh,
And mhm.
so often, society and our support systems discredit artistry as a career path. How do you combat that?
um, uh, I was about to be like, I don't think I do personally, but if I really have to think about it, I can say something. This is a perfect time to say something that I've always kind of wanted the opportunity to say something.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of Instagram, like how it like says like live in the corner and everything is set up a certain type of way.
Mm-hmm.
People who went to art school did that. I don't know if people realize that, but a lot of what we use and look at, like when people be
Yep.
watching shows and there's like text on the screen and sequences or anything that's directed, all of that counts as art, like
Yeah.
all of it. Like, so there's art in so much aspect of everything that we do every single day, as far as graphic design, as far as direction, as far as like everything that people do not take seriously and they take it for granted. And I want that to stop. Like,
Yeah.
this is my time to stand up for it, because like art is literally everywhere. Like, you look
Mm-hmm.
at the cereal, you see the Fruit Loops box and it got,
Yeah.
you know, somebody on it and they're like, oh, it's like somebody had to draw that, somebody
Yeah.
had to make that. Like, art is literally all around us every day, all the time, and people need to stop acting like it's not a stable career path when we look at art every single day and are influenced by art every single day. There would be no way that we could do nothing that we're doing without an artist somewhere in the picture. So I feel like me advocating for that is going to be my way of combating it, because I didn't know how I like did it on a personal level. Like, I have no idea, because I look at it like some people come home and play the game, and I just come home and be making beats and writing stuff. So
Mhm.
like at first I was just like, oh, well, I don't think it's any different than that. But yeah, I just want to just get it out there. Like, art is everywhere, and we need to wake up and stop telling people that it's not a stable career path when we wouldn't be able to live without it.
Exactly. And I hate like how people be like, "Oh, that's cute. Like that's your little hobby if you're not making a certain amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's not good enough, or it's not a job." And you're just like, "All right, well, I guess I'm gonna have to show you better than I can tell you." I think Callie Uchis said it best. She was like, artistry is like sometimes you're working and then you're bringing in steady income, and then all of a sudden it's just like a desert. It's just like dry. And I'm like, dude, that's me. You go like years or months without getting paid, without being acknowledged, without even being recognized, and then you're battling, trying not to compare yourself to your peers. You're trying to like find your own lane. You're trying to find your signature and trying to find your voice, when there's, for every one artist, I say there's like 20, because it's
Yeah.
like, makes me stand out, you know?
Mm-hmm. So
Uh,
that's a good way of looking at it too. It's like, yeah, like we do go through our little periods of like activity, but just having periods of non-activity doesn't make like what we do any less valid. And I really wish people would like stop thinking about it in the sense of like, people might think of like certain jobs or careers like something ongoing, like, you know, if I go to job every day, that means it's a real job. And it's like, you know, not necessarily. Like, some teachers don't work year round because, you know, they got like summers off or whatever like that too. Art is something similar to that. It's a freelance sort of business, but you wouldn't say somebody who only sells Christmas trees in the winter, like, oh, you don't have a real job. Like,
right.
like, come on now. It's like,
Yeah. Glam Goblin, yes, you're welcome for mentioning mental health. It's really important to preserve it and to take care of it, because you I'm telling you, certain stuff, it'll start to trickle down in certain aspect. It'll begin to trickle down in every aspect of your life if you don't try and do self-care. Sometimes I said just do nothing. That
yeah.
feels so good, to do nothing, to not rush, to not comb your hair. Okay, on the weekend, I don't go nowhere. Okay. I be staying in my house. I don't even comb my hair. I'm like, I got homework to do. I'm about to write. I'm about to take a bath. I'm about to validate myself internally to make
Mm-hmm.
it. straight for the work week, okay? And make sure that my mind and my racing thoughts and like my pacing heartbeat is, you know.
Exactly. It's like we have to center ourselves. We have to get ourselves ready to do these things. People just like want you to just be on work mode all the time. It's like, where do you think we're going to get the energy at for all of this if we don't ever recharge?
Yeah, it's like if you have a lot of artists wear like multiple hats. I was telling a couple of the people I've already interviewed, like we're like our booking agent, our manager, we're like our promo, we're like our hair and makeup. We do everything by ourselves. Yes, sometimes we have friends and family that help and come support us, but probably a big chunk of it you're doing it by yourself. And then often you want to give up because I've tried to quit. I was like, I'm retiring. They're like, shut up. But like, no, I'm not doing this no more. They were like, okay, but like when you gonna stop playing? And I'm like, I'm not playing. Like it's just it's a really unusual and tricky like form to pick because there's only so few that like really make it to the top. And now it's like I don't really care for influencers, but some of them are geniuses in like the business sense. Um,
Mm.
I just feel like I don't want to like take any shots at them, but I feel like it does make it hard for people who are actually want to be artists, who want to be creatives, who want to curate stuff, who want to like make a difference, who want to contribute. Because it's like, damn, like maybe I should make that OnlyFans account. I'm like, nah, like that's not. I don't want to look back on my legacy and tell my kids like, oh yeah, your mom made an account on this website. Like, you know, it's okay if people do that. I don't have a problem with it. But I was like, I want to do things the right way and like look back and be like, okay, I can tell my kids I did everything that I could and I try to do it the right, like honest way and I earned it like myself, you know.
Yeah, that's totally me all the way too. Like that's exactly the way I think. And everything that I do, I know some people might even look at me as being kind of sort of like uptight because of that. And I try not to be judgmental of what anybody else is doing. But for real, like I want to be able to be the type of artist and man, just generally that like when I have kids, I want them to be able to have somebody to look up to real bad and be like, you know, like you can do it and you can do it, you know, like without having to just go by the ways of like the world, I guess, like because the world will just tell you do whatever for money. And like by that mindset, it's like when you get to the mindset of do whatever for money, I feel like that's when you start doing things like compromising your art. Like it could be something as simple as like, you know, you might not want to make certain types of songs, but you make certain types of songs to reach certain types of platforms. And I feel like you can instill the certain like values where you could be like, I don't have to do it that way. Like there's also like honest rebellion in doing things like, you know, like the unconventional way too,
Yeah.
or like that way too. So I'm not going to discredit that either. But I still just everything that I would want for my future kids, I try to take that same exact responsibility onto myself because I never want to be in a position where I'm like, well, I can't necessarily judge you because, you know, I did blah, 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 blah. Where it's like, I want to take the mindset, just me personally, just like, I want to see you thrive the right way because I know that I can do it and I'm instilling with you the exact same tools so you can do better than me. And if I want you to do better than me, I don't want you to be spiritually messed up in ways that I didn't necessarily have to go through or the same ways I had to go through because I'm still breaking generational curses of my own. So in order for me to break generational curses, I got to take self-responsibility and think about what do I want to be on my children's heart when they think about me or when they look at me, because that matters. And a lot of people think that it don't matter, and that's selfish to me. So it goes that deep in my mind. Like
It
you
does.
gotta really take accountability for yourself, and the way that people see you is going to affect your children's self-esteem. And I don't care if people think that it don't, because it do, because you can't just automatically instill those sorts of things in kids early on when they're getting teased and getting cut up in school. Like, oh, your mother got OnlyFans, blah, blah, blah. Like, it ain't going to matter how much you teach love and respect to that kid. You don't want to put yourself in a position where your child has to think too hard about the mistakes you made. Not saying that making the OnlyFans is a mistake, because I know we keep bringing that part up, but it's more so about other things. Like, even if I was like just gambling real bad or just doing bad with my business or my taxes wasn't right and I just wasn't like on the track where I wanted to be, like as a man. I don't want that to necessarily have to affect my kids in a way where I can't help them break, you know, more generational curses too. I want to set them up for success and not set them up to have to just, you know, fight out of my mistakes. So
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
what I'm basically getting at. I don't even know how I got that deep on it. My bad. But yeah.
That was a good like thought process you just walked us through. I really I feel the same way. I think about it a lot. I'm like, I don't even have kids, but I'm trying to better myself so I can be better for them and so they don't live the same life that I lived. I'm like, they gotta live way better than me. Like I need them to live the complete opposite of me. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want them to have a life anything similar to what I've experienced. I was like, some of the stuff I'm still like unpacking to this day.
Exactly.
And I'm like, it's painful to work through almost 20 years worth of damage and trauma. It's really hard.
It is.
But Instagram is probably going to kick us out. So I'm like, do you want to tell people where they can follow you and just any quick comments you want to make before we get kicked out?
Oh yeah, dang. Well, you can follow me. Just type ALYX Ryon in either Facebook, SoundCloud, YouTube, Instagram, ALYX space RYON.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, Alex with a Y, RYON, Ryon. Like, you can find me anywhere like that. Got videos on YouTube, got stuff coming out soon. So, yeah.
Thank you for coming on. I really enjoyed this conversation. I feel like I know you, but like I've never met you. So I've never met you in person. I'm like,
Yeah,
why?
this has been like the first like exchange. So it's like, and it's clear too because like we're just talking like with voices.
Yeah, well, I'm about to get off. I'm gonna message you after this just to make sure like you had a good experience and everything. I appreciate you letting your voice, your art, and walking in your truth. Have a good night.
All right, thank you for having me on. Like,
You're
yeah.
welcome. Bye.
Bye bye.